god. Streamer started? Yeah, it did. It did. Oh my god. Okay, what did I say like that, bro? Yo! Chat, should I get Duza for 2 wins? I don't know what that is. Okay, stop calling. Yo, what? Ain't Pepega, bro. Do some, please, dude. Get Duzum. Please. Help. Yo, K-Sauce, thanks for getting a sub to shout out. No!
No!
Guys, surely... Is it? Yeah, I think it's 5 out of 7. I was thinking at 7 p.m. Fuck. Oh my god.
_21 has gifted a sub to Ryify.
Well, guys, we're back to 8 wins now again. Okay, now... Fucking hell, dude. Okay, now it's every 10 subs now because that's the 20. Oh my god. Now we're 20. Yeah, now it's reach 20 and that's every 10 subs I have to get 1 win. What time is it for you? It's only 3:30. Yeah, it's every 10 subs. Yep. Oh my god. Surely no one gives 10 subs, right? Surely we stop trolling. Oh my god. Check the M's bet. PvP revamp. Let me see this back real quick. Dude, I'm going to sleep tonight just thinking about... Oh, this pack is actually good. Oh, it's like basically default. Oh, I actually like this pack. Wait, W pack. Yo, Lidra, W pack. Thank you. No, don't give 10 more, bro. Chat, surely we know what the... Oh. Surely, chat, surely, right? You see what happens when I lock in, chat? I killed, by the way, I killed that. Y'all saw that? Yo. Please give me props on that full diamond kill. Surely someone saw that full diamond kill, right? Did y'all see that full diamond kill I got? Wasn't that crazy? Cobweb and just killing him? Sheesh. Hey, chat, should I do 10 more? No. You shouldn't. No, I wish I should. It's gonna be 19 out of 33. Bro, stop. Wait, that's like Terraria sound. Okay, I'll play another solo. I got this. Oh my god. By the way, thank you guys for watching, by the way. I appreciate everyone watching so far. We are grinding for that partner, guys. We are grinding for that partner. I always say that and I just jinx it and I never get it. So guys, if you guys are ever gonna go somewhere, just leave the stream on, please. Thanks. Do me a favor and leave the stream on if you guys are gonna go somewhere. Thanks. Give me Gambler points. If I mod you, yeah, sure. Sure. Always say I know this hashtag's fire, right? It's someone sent to me. I like the little crosshair too. That's why I was like, wait, this hashtag kind of fire. I mean, I don't really use crystals, so I don't really care. Bubba!
Hey, Bubba.
What's up, Gustavs?
Yo.
Dude, I need help, bro.
What's happening?
I need like 8 more wins now to end stream.
Bro.
Yeah,
that's
it's
like,
bad.
Bro, you can just play a little bit, like a few games, easy.
Yeah, you know, I wish that was that easy, but you know, people like to run bow, melee run bow, lava run bow, water run bow, you know?
My bad.
Yo! You're one of them, huh? You're one of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe.
It's alright. It's all good though. I'm trying to...
Yeah, like, I'm gonna have to like make your stream a little bit longer now.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, you know? I'm kind of sweating right now. Like, I just got a new texture pack, you know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of locked in, you know?
Yeah.
I'm locked in right now.
Yo, Qndres.
Yeah, what's good, bro?
You just said you're right now. Ain't no way.
Bro, I've been saying that for like the past 2 weeks, no cap. Yeah, hello?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that you have a fucking counter on stream for that as well.
Yeah, we're currently on chat. What's the counter? 254.
God damn.
Yeah, it's not that much. It's not like I say right now every time. I just said it
Are
right
you
now.
sure?
Yeah, I just did it again. Like, he said it twice in that sentence. I love Minecraft. All right, good luck, everyone.
Good luck, Bubba.
Bubba, good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck. Wait, slash hub and no slash Nick. No one knows my Nick. Chat, no one's gonna know my name. Hey, guys. Naruto here. Chat, I'm Naruto. They don't know I'm Naruto. Surely no one knows my... I don't even know my nickname. I'll be honest with you. What's my nickname? I forgot my nickname. It actually is a fire pack. I need to get food, bro. I need to get food. W Naruto. Chat, Wingstop or In-N-Out? Or nothing. I don't know. I wait and starve until I finish the challenge. Yeah, appreciate the subs, by the way, guys. I love you guys. Appreciate it. Wingstop clears? It does. I'll get some Wingstop. Surely this is not gonna like last the whole month, right? Yeah, send your packs to Sanchi or Lidrar. Lidrar? Is it Lidrar? Am I saying it right now? LA Film School. Why am I getting these emails? Yo, to the person, I mean, I already tweeted like a month ago, 2 months ago, a couple months ago. Someone, what is that? What was that noise? The fuck? Someone signed my email up for like a bunch of subscriptions, and I hate you. Priabi, okay. Wait, this, oh, dude. This texture pack brings back so much memories, dude. Dude. This texture pack is fire. Yo, who linked me this? Might just give you like $10. Yeah. $10 is actually crazy. Wait, I have enchants now. I just realized. I just need 2 diamonds. Wait, I can rush it. Wait. Yeah, it's actually fire texture pack. I used to play with this guy back in 2017. I played with a texture pack that sounded exactly like this, and I've always like wanted to find what those sounds were. Are these Terraria sounds? No, right? No way these are Terraria sounds. They don't sound like Terraria sounds, at least. I don't need that. Keep the $10. Let's fucking go. I have a serious question. What's the question? Ask your question now. Chat, ask me any questions you want in 15 minutes. Go. You can ask me anything you want. I have to answer it. Please don't be sus. Why didn't you use my texture pack? I'm sorry, Gabriel. Please forgive me, Gabriel. I'm so sorry. Is your texture pack fire too, bro? What's the meaning of life? Damn, that's actually deep. I actually don't know. Live life to its fullest. Yep, yep. Don't let one bad thing happen. Keep going. You got this. Feel strong, man. Was that good advice? I think that's W advice. I would just sleep. Not gonna lie, I slept with one eye open. I kept hearing the same damn song on my stream, and I had PTSD of that one time. Everyone got mad at me. You guys are hearing the same song over and over again, and it ended up just being a loop. Like, look at these fire sounds, bro. Small swords too. I love it. Phase Noob. What a good name. Sir Andre, what's up? What's your lot? Well, 7777. I can get another. Wait, what? Like, it's a guarantee you can get that, or what do you mean by that? I'm glad that I can stream this server. Oh. That's a question. What's the question? You know, I read it. Did I say in Discord? I put announcements that because there were so many people with VIP, I'm just gonna keep the VIP role. If you get VIP, if you unlock it through like channel point redemption, I'm just gonna give you the Discord role of VIP now. I just had too many VIPs and it was just like, damn. But soon, I'm not gonna say when because I want to be like a surprise kind of thing. The most active chatters of my chat will get VIP. I don't want to say it, but I guess I can say it now. But yeah, most active chatters in my chat will get VIP. Which actually I have one in mind already, but I'm gonna wait until the end of the subathon. Yes, yes, yes. I just need actually I don't need to rush it anymore. I mean, I didn't even rush the last game and it's still good. Just be active, just be active, just be active, chat. We're nearing this hopefully we can get it this month. If I get it this month, bro, holy shit. What the hell was that noise? Sounds like I was just permanently running. Permanently running. I can't speak English. Can I find diamonds though, like low key? This is such a sweat pack, it's crazy. Yo, also, no one can call me sweaty because I was playing with vanilla texture pack, by the way. It was literally just vanilla texture pack with low fire, okay? So, if anyone comes at me for being sweaty, this is my first time using an actual pack. So, we became a subathon? Essentially, yeah, we became basically a subathon without adding time. I don't know. Ow. What's the chat? How many wins do I got right now? Like 12? 12 bet. 12 out of 20, right? And we're 0 out of 10 for subs, right? Right. Ooh. You're still a sweat. Okay, well. There's really no... Like, I can't really beat the allegations, huh? I'm just a guaranteed sweat. Yo, actually, someone do me a favor. Can someone look up when the next Mexico national soccer team game is? Please, thanks. I can't really switch shirts right now. Because I don't want it to be like during a stream. Yo, Siri Chardas, what's up? Thanks for the follow, I appreciate it.
Here it is on the map.
No, wait, whoa, yo, my Siri just turned on. That would have been crazy. Oh my god. Oh my god, that is scary. Yo, Char, dude, yo, what is your name, bro? You just activated my I can't say the name of it, but you activated you activated them. I'm out of sweat. That's fucking scary. Okay. Just leave my whole address. I can make enchants now. Just have to worry about it later. I can actually low-key make a sharp 3 iron and just rush. You know what? No. Yeah, we can't say their name. So we refer to them as woman. Okay, Sharp. Prot. Sharp. Yep. Low key, just make full P2. I just realized. Yeah. 6 minutes. I can still get like gear. I'll keep the sharp book for now. I won't use it yet. I just need to find 2 diamonds though. I might need to open up song requests as well because I want to add more songs to this playlist, but I might not add your song, you know? It's like if I like your song, I'll most likely add it. Oh, okay. Yep. Wait, it's 2. We're good. It kind of has to like match the theme, you know? Wait, Cypher got help or wait, W Cypher. Hell yeah, Cypher. Congrats on that. W Cypher. I have some good songs, bet. Just, oh yeah, I don't know when we'll do it, but Ant is on. Ant's loving it. Ant. Oh. Yo, like this pack of it's gonna go crazy right now. Can I really talk about loving this game? I really can't talk, can I? I love it even more. I just need one. By the way, I need 1 win to get back on the leaderboards. Okay. Can you use my pack exit? Maybe. I'm liking this pack a lot, so maybe. Oh, nice. Someone's got an Infinity and Flame book. Put it in the chat. Okay, I see one more sharp book. Okay. You missed diamonds? Did I actually? Where? Wait, what? I didn't. Liar. Back at the lava. Huh? In these? Those aren't diamonds. What? Was it that? Chad, did y'all see any diamonds? Nyred, are you might be going crazy or am I going crazy? The other pool here? No, I got these right here. Not right here, right? Surely not there, right? Wait. There? No, that's where I just checked. Wait, what? Are you serious? Yeah, it might have been wallpaper. Hi, out of the long legs. Hello. I think it's schizo. Wait, they might be cooking though. They might be cooking because I might find diamonds over here now that I ship mine this way. Oh, there's a mine shaft above me. All right, I have a lot of gold. I think this might be a good rush right now. Just go over here real quick. Yeah. My eyes probably saw blue. Yeah, maybe. Might have been just been the wallpaper. If you know what wallpaper is, W. Only OGs know what wallpaper is. My fucking 2/3. It is annoying. It's like, oh, this is the guy here. Go. Where'd bro go? I'll go up now. Just maybe see if I can get one book. Sharpness, like that. Sharp. Wait, how many levels is it combined? I think it's 5. Someone's right next to me. I can't tell it's bottom or right. Could just be coming down on me. Wait, what? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. GG's, GG's. Okay. GG's chat, GG's. Wait, why did it make an iron helmet? I'm telling you, it's not clear enough for people to see, like, it's... They need to make, like, a thing, like, saying, like, I don't know, this helmet is, better than an iron helmet or something. Light apple. I saw that. Throw that out. That out. Jack, the obby looks so fire, right? What's up, Jack? Still... No, Jack, I'm not streaming. I'm eating right now. If he wins this game, not gift. Oh my god, infinite stream glitch. Infinite stream glitch. Actually, infinite stream glitch. No troll. This might be an infinite stream glitch. Someone just keeps going. No way. No way. If I win this, I have to. That's like, I don't even know. It's like a lose-lose situation for me, but it's like a win-win, but also for me. But like, all right. Infinite money glitch. I mean, I guess, but also infinite like energy glitch. It's fine. It's whatever. I'm not going for the record's longest stream, bro. All right, I can make like more gaps and stuff. I really like this penguin hat, by the way. Okay. What's up, Leon? Sounds like a win for you. Win $5. W. $634 days is the longest stream ever. Yeah, I don't know about that one. That's like 2 birthdays, no? I don't know if I want to stream my birthday twice. I'll be 26. No way. No one will be 26 playing Minecraft. Bam, bam. All right. Wait, I need that axe. I need to get a bow. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see if we can kill anyone now. 6 caps, a G head. Surely it won't go wrong, right? How long? Well, until I beat it. It's until I beat the challenge. Oh, look at that. People fighting just for me. Ow. What's Kuba on? Oh, he died. Popped. Diamond sword. Sharp 3, maybe? 1. Oh, might be the guy that went nether. Oh, more gold, 10 gaps. Be taking that. Some obby. And obby. Do I need anything for any crafts for obby? Apples. Okay. Might be the text pack buff, by the way. Might be text pack buff. 12 gaps. Wow. Wait, redstone. Please. Gamba, 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 gamba. Yes. Okay. Gamba time. What are we gonna get? What are we gonna get? Diamonds, diamonds, diamonds. Diamonds galore, please. All right. All right. That's right. It's mid. Yeah. I need wood as well, low key. Okay, just pick up a random sharp. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. How did I just... All right, let's see what we can do now. Let's see what mess we make. Redstone for Gamba later. Some more sticks. I don't need that. I don't need that. Candy, diamonds. Oh, nice. Just ran out of food. Might just fight someone right now. Not a bad gamble. It really wasn't. Gustav's has Dragon Sword. Okay. There's a guy named here, 1RQ or some 1FRO. Crying Obby? Not Crying Obby. Okay. I just picked up the junk I threw out. This is really scary because I'm enchanting at 0-0. Any iron? Pick that out for later. Guess I get a. I'll be later. Wait, no iron, really? Oh, there. Holy loot crate. What's up, Iser? All right, come on, man. Let me enchant real quick. Hey. 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 Come on. How are you taking so many shots? I was gonna eat another jihad right now. Maybe a cobweb. Oh my god. Running simulator part 2. All right. Come on, man. Midas, I think. Come on. Come here. Come on. Or maybe here. All right, we just ran a border. Nice. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's get this victory royale. But not by running. Let's actually fight. Come on. Oh my god. 137, bro. Come on. We're just not gonna fight. We're just gonna go. He's gonna run into a like 2-force diamond or fight him, and it's just gonna clean. I've seen this happen before. Oh, or that works too. You can link me here. No, please. I forgot. Okay. What's that bow? Okay, bro was definitely bowing the whole game. Where'd everyone go? Was there a slaughter fest here earlier? Oh, who stabs? He doesn't know it's me. He doesn't know it's me. Hi, Goose stabs. Hello. It's gonna be impossible to catch up to him, huh? Wait, TP'd. I think that guy with leggings earlier. Wait, do I have? I don't have guarding obby. Oof. What do you put on? Oof. Damn. You're in a team? Like, where am I? Oh. Let me just shield her full real quick. Those leggings, not gonna lie. You okay? Yeah, that's not the bow. Wait. Wait. There you go. What could I make? Yeah, how do I get? Can I craft crying obby? Is that not a thing? No, right? It's like NPC talk right there. I don't think I can craft obby. Can I? Roshuggin? Yeah. Wait. You gotta main it? Main what? Alright, let's do Gamba. What if I get a fire aspect here? Holy shit, that'd be huge. I'm just gonna use the heads. Okay. I'm 1 XP away. No. That's all I can get right now. You just gave up. Poor dude. Yeah, this guy ran from me all game, actually. I'm waiting for this guy. Huh. Okay, well, I have that now. Yep. Oh, this guy's full diamond. Hold on. Hold the phone. And he has Midas. Wait a second. Run, Gustavs, run. Wait. I can't let him kill Gustavs. Wait, this guy has quick charge on him. Fuck. We need to kill this guy. What's up, Luck? Yo. Yo, Glitchby, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. How was your stream? Yo, Toast, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. It was good. Thank you for the raid once again. We're playing HOPLITE. Have you guys heard of HOPLITE? Crayons. I love eating crayons. Oof, shot him right there. Go. Come on. Speed is crazy. No. Oh my god, GG! Oh baby, thank you for the raid. Thank you, thank you. GG, 2 in a row. GG, GG Bubba, GG bro. GG Bubba. GG's. Yo, that sword is crazy. Speed 1, like hello? It's only sharp 2 and you was crazy with it. Okay, Sauce is gonna get 10. Focus. Okay, we're up that now. 7 more wins now. Okay. Not too shabby, right, chat? Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Holy shit. Also, Doozum said he has something to do at 7 after that. Okay, bet. We'll probably play with Doozum and we'll probably get someone else. Chat, who should I team with? Who do y'all want to see me team with? Anyone? Mine's sharp 3 with the other guy's sharp 2. Wait, what? Oh, you're sharp 3. Gotcha. Yo, that thing's actually crazy then. What the fuck? Sharp 2 diamond, just like speed 1? You're literally just like going crazy. Bet. I see what I can do here. I'll do it again until Dooza comes back, because I want Dooza to play. Slash him, and then a Nick/Nick. I got a sloth skin. What pack is this? It is DL Choosy Fault, made by Choosy 9. It's a really good pack. Grandpa went sweaty mode. Did I actually? You think so? I was like, give me like 2. Actually, I might dodge this queue just because I want to order food and because I'm hungry. Actually, nah, we're good. I'm not really hungry. I still have like those oats I ate earlier. All right. Yeah, because I don't know. That was GG. That was GG's. What's up, Invis? What's up, dude? The hell is this? Hold on, chat. Might need to like low key. Actually, might have to need. Actually, well, I could just go here on my phone. Something. I just got an email. Just gotta do something real quick. Fuck. Let's see. Hold on. Something's happening right now. K-Soft.
Saucy_21 has gifted us up to Crouton_14.
Yay. Woohoo. Another win on the board.
Saucy_21 has gifted us up to IB 3600.
Thank you, K-Saucy, for the 10 gifted. Smiley face.
Saucy_21 has gifted us up to Disco1 said underscore.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you again. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I have some.
Saucy_21 has gifted a sub to Toasty Work at Lion.
Ooh. Chat, should we do it or nah? Chat, thoughts? Are we doing it or not, chat?
Saucy_21 has gifted a sub to Pipey_360.
Yeah, got Apple, yep.
Saucy_21 has gifted us up to the _hog.
Okay. Gonna go crazy?
Saucy_21 has gifted us
Thanks
up
to
to
10 gifted, K Saucy. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the gifted. Appreciate the gifts is. I appreciate it.
Saucy_21 has gifted a sub to Byron Menez.
Yeah, everyone got one. Chat, if you got one, let me know. Type in chat. Type in chat.
Saucy_21 has gifted a sub to Lickpammer.
Ooh. Hold on, chat. It's something very important right here on my phone real quick.
Saucy_21 has gifted a sub to Raven SF.
Very important thing. 1, 2, 3. It's not enough. Wait. Maybe there could be some. I could go for Midas, but then again, one sec. The fuck? Bruh. There you go. Why are you shipping it to 21? Well, first of all, it was 10, right? Oh, sorry, no. It was first to 3 wins, and then, you know, people were gifting subs, and it slowly increased. Now we're at 21 wins. It's basically a challenge that I started myself, for myself, and yeah, challenge. It's basically like a subathon, but not a subathon, you know? Okay. Yeah. One sec, chat. I had to like low-key. Why do I gotta do this right now? there. I won't be able to reach out, by the way, guys. Just FYI. Just FYI. Bam. Did bro just mine diamonds in front of me, or am I tripping? Get me on the team? Wait, what? I don't have flint and steel, bro. Gotta get flint and steel. Bro, gotta verify it's me now. We're really playing with dudes. I think I got a third. That's the thing. Like, I have like 2 people, you know. I got you though. I got you. When I need a third, I got you, bro. I'll message you in game. What? Hey. What's up, holy cow? Oh, what's up? What does that mean? Okay. I'm doing pretty good. All right, I'm good, chap. Yo, yeah, is me. Thanks to follow. I'm not going nether anymore because I can't really go anymore. I might just rush Midas. What do I need? Yo, guys, what do I need for Midas? Diamond sword, right? Diamond sword. Quartz. Oh, I do need to go nether still. Fuck. Or quartz. Okay. Let's get that. What's up, Toasty? Crayons. Is that all you say? Just crayons? Also, K-Sauce, if you join the Discord, we'll give you a role, by the way. On Discord. You get the Quimp role. Just FYI. Because you already get to be 10. 17. Stuff over here. Alright, we've been there, actually. Oh, join Discord already? I bet. If you want, make a ticket and just be like, yo. And then be like, Qndres said he'll handle it. Yeah, or something like that. Or if a mod is in here, yo, Swine, if you're here, can you give K-Toasty the Discord role? Please, Swine. Thank you. Alright, let's see. Alright, got that now. Is it Bastion? What is it? Oh, watch it be Fortress. Okay. I have no idea what it is. I updated Discord yesterday. Wait, what am I saying? I already had that. Definitely not that way. I bet. Thank you. Yeah, we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. It's Bastion, I think, again. Yo, Meg. What's up? Thanks to follow. 00 portal. I'm getting out of here. Bastions? What is it? I say thank you. Okay. If worst comes to worst, we just need a diamond sword, right? That's it. All we need is a diamond sword. Hopefully we get lucky. Hopefully we do. I swear to God, I mean, you saw earlier, I got just destroyed. How many kills did I have? And it was only a sharp 3? Like, what? How do I get send? Wait, how do I get it said something in the Discord chat? Wait, what do you mean? Did you make sure you verified your stuff already? Like the how it tells you to? Like it should tell you how to verify, right? If you did that already, then the rank, my bad. What do you mean? What do you, I'm confused. Me confused, I'm confused. Fill me in. How do you get the rank? Like the quimp roll? It's look in the roles under the roles or role assignment. It shows you how to get every single role. Yo, Uther. Hello, Uther. Hi, Uther. Howdy. Oh, don't bow me, you ass. What's up, Uther? Hello. Oh my god, Keck, thanks for follow. I appreciate it. Jesus, so many follows. Like, you got like 4 back to back to back. You got, yeah. How's your day been? Pretty good, actually. Got 2 wins so far, you know, back to back. Maybe go for the 3rd win in a row. No diamonds there. I was looking for 2 diamonds right now. 2 diamonds, and I'll be good for this rush I want to do. Oh, wait, that's actually like amazing. What? All right, cool. We got that now. Chat, what else do we need? Diamond sword, golden apple. And that's it. I can go up. So I just need gold now. 1 gold. Actually, I have it already. Wish I have no healing, though. So I'll kill for healing, kill for healing. That's crazy. You better win this game, Gusta. Bubba. Oh, you left. This is not bad. Oh, bro does not care. What's max on? Yeah, bro does not care. Okay, well, this guy has that. Okay. Wait, why am I invised? Surely it's not going to attack me from that range, right? Okay. I'm gonna go do status homework out. Peace out, Orbit. Peace out, peace out. Thanks to lurk. Shoot the lurk. Just nothing. I just blocked my water up. Yeah, I know. He might actually have loot for it. Wait, what was his name again? No one's seen it, right? We can probably craft it this game if you get enough stuff for it. Sonic crossbow, sonic crossbow. Literally just a fire extinguisher, which is gunpowder. And any... Wait, how do you make it? Wait, what? How do you make that? Oh. I'm not gonna lie, this is my first time finding the ancient city, by the way. And someone's already in it. Never seen the ancient city in my life. Like, in this in Civ. So let's chill. Stalk him? No, because I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna run back inside the thing. I'll go up, I'll go up, I'll go up. Go up, no way. Yep. I just gotta go up and get. You see what I'm gonna get right now. You see what I'm gonna get right now. Dude, it's right there, bro. But he went nether too, dude. Yo, what was his name? We actually need him. I forgot his name already. Well, I'm so confused. How do I get the rank? Just talking Discord. Just talking Discord. I'll give it to you right now. Just say that you're say I'm K Saucy and I got you. Mods. Any mods in chat? Mods. Mods. Low mods. Any mods? Yo, by the way, I'm looking for Discord mods, by the way. Anyone looking for become Discord mod? Apply my Discord. Watch, look at this seedling. Ready? Watch this, watch this. We go this. Bam. Midas art, bam. Now we just need one more gap, so we can at least have healing. Come on. Let me be at least like one gap. Come on. How do I become? I gotta apply on Discord. Don't be trapping, please. No, he's in a bed by me another. No, surely you... What? Oh, this guy's trapping. Right? Yeah, this guy definitely looks like a trapper. This guy's trapping, right? Right? It's a head hitter. He literally just hit the head hitter in front of me. No way he did that. No, I need that Midas Sharp. Fuck. Oh. Fine. Wait, there's more candy that can just eat that. Beautiful. Surely gives you regen, right? Oh, no, I got poisoned twice already. Oh, health boost, okay. Poison twice is crazy. I could break the trap. It's still sharp one, bruh. You got boots, right, chat? Okay. You found 6 region pots. Ah, so you're the guy with the region, huh? Yeah, you're the guy we saw earlier. Why is my chain on my neck like falling out? I feel like someone's like trying to snatch my chain. And it's chat, there's a ghost in my room. Oh. I ate your toenail. Okay. What a great name. Great choice of words for these names nowadays, huh? 44. Not gonna die. Cross teamers, good. Someone brewing in there? No. What is a sword? Dude, again? Poison for a third time is crazy, no? Oh, sharp 3 iron. Okay, I might just main that for now. Actually, chat, what's better, sharp? What's better, sharp 2 iron, sharp 2 oh, there's a guy right here. Sharp 2 diamond or sharp 3 iron? It's still sharp 1. Okay, I think just for backup, I'm gonna make a sharp 3 iron, sharp 2 diamond. Jesus, what in the sword? Okay, I go back over here. Iron's obvious. Well, no, because sharp 3 is like, I don't know. Sharp 3 and did they update the? I don't know. Sharp 3 has like 1 damage. More crit damage. Okay, so sharp 2 damage is the way to go. And this is another guy right there. Where's that? Did you pick up everything? Take arrows from this. Alright, let me just cook real quick. Alright. We're gonna use this diamond sword. Gonna throw that out. Anvil. Make a lot of. Can't make any more of those. Do we have any redstone though? We have redstone. Gambling time. Gambling time twice. Okay. Use my scare, true. Fusion and 3 golden apples. Okay. Oh shit, this didn't stack. Why is this sheep? What? Did y'all see what the sheep was doing? Okay. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. There's really nothing I can do about that. Moiner and fucking the Dragon Tongue goes fucking nuts, dude. Oh. Okay. Right on. That's insane. Okay. I mean, I was just running with the sword though. Also, my voice is like dying. Kind of dead. Play question mark? I'm gonna ask Bob if he wants to play. Yeah, I got my 2 wins for today. I think I am. I'm calling Bob Blue. I'm like, oh, I mean, I'm 20. Yeah, I mean, okay, not bad. 10th place, okay. Bro was stacked. Yeah, bro was 2 force diamond. Wait, was it? Wait, it actually might have been treasure, huh? Because you can only find. He has 2 force diamond. I don't even know what can he have there. Holy shit. No, Dragon Katana is just broken, dude. I kind of called Bob in. I asked him. I called him. Okay, let me do something real quick. One sec. Um, okay. It was probably bridge patching. Yeah. He got, I mean, he got everything he needed. Let me go look for something to eat real quick because I'm actually getting hungry now. Give me like 5 minutes, right? Everyone come to like lobby. If you're on, by the way, get on lobby, like the last lobby, and just meet me here. I'll be right back. Here, I'll slash undeck. I'll be right back. Give me like 2 minutes, okay? One sec. Yellow. Yellow. I'm back. Hello, chat. What happened? What did I miss? What did I miss? Is Bob in a game? F-list. This guy's probably playing freaking, isn't he? Wait, he's not playing. Wait, what? They pushed me in a corner. Who's here? Yo, paint train. Someone gifted me a sub. Yes, sir. Okay. So, fuck. I need to get 8 wins, bro. All right. 8 wins, huh? Okay. Okay. 8 wins, it shouldn't be that hard, right? Surely it's not hard. Oh, that's the weird one. That's the weird one I kept running yesterday, bro. He said, it's my first time playing. Okay. Okay. I got more. 8 for now, bro. Bro. Let me respond to some DMs while we wait. Might want to nick up. Well, you're right. Fuck. Do you think I don't have 10 seconds? I did have 10 seconds. Now I don't have 10 seconds. Fuck, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But y'all see the difference between I nick and I don't nick? Why am I sub to this idiot? Shut up, Toasty. Shut up. I hate this guy for real. Yeah? That's not what your friend Pippi said. Also, I think my voice is gone. I deadass think my voice is gone. It's like I'm actually losing my voice. Lag. Ah. I dodged these arrows. I can go another already. Oh, you goat, bro. You helped me out. Oh, fuck. Wait, I might die. I'm good. Oh, you goat. I was actually gonna die there. I'm sorry to making you play more. You're fine. When are you gonna play teams? I don't know, actually. I don't know. Whenever my friends get on and stop trolling. What's up, Burbo? Hi, Noobie Noob. Hello. Hi, Burbo. Oh, shucks. One sec. Okay, we're looking for a lava pool right now. Okay, we gotta make this right here. I still need flint though. Fuck. Wait, 1, 2. I think it's enough. All right, though, Burb. Wait, it's fine here. Oh, wait, there's... Okay. That works. Bet. Okay. If you die this game, I'll gift. What the You do know it's 10, right, for adding another win. Just letting you know right now. Hi, Brian, can you tell Bob to get the fuck on? We play again like yesterday, please? Thanks. I literally like messaged this noob and he did not message me back. Dude, Sanchi, you're literally on that. You're just gonna keep adding, huh? Bro is the adder himself. Okay. Well, I know where the portal's at. Okay, we got Wart. Alrighty. Let me get both the Wart rooms, please. Okay. How to unsub? You can't. GG's. I'm gonna play Steve. So maybe, yeah, man. I'm just waiting for my team to get on. My friends. And so, yeah. I mean, what am I saying? I don't have friends. Okay. You win easy? Yep. You know, it'll be nice if I got a from wood, actually. Might have forgotten. Actually, no, I got iron sword from the thing earlier. Also making lasagna right now, so I'm also like, yeah. The cat was kind of a demon. Yeah, I know. Why is there a... I did that already. Why was there just a random blaze pop? Okay. And if you die, I'll gift you 10. Wait, no, if you win, you can bet. Okay, so it's literally just like lose again, right? Or I'll rush strength. I'll rush strength. Just don't get in a cave. Oh, this thing's fire. Look, you gotta be careful. Oh, hopefully I don't die. Oh, well. Willer! I hate you. Actually, never mind. We'll see how this game goes. Okay, but yeah, definitely don't be gifting no more. Well, I'm gonna... Willer? Let's do it. Okay. Why is there a party here? Why is there a party here? All right, looks like we're having a little meet up here. Okay. All right, yo, everyone go over there. Get behind me. All right. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh. Oh. Well, I want to break it. I broke it. Feeling like a demon right now. All right, I'm out of here. Bye. I have it now. No one knows. I mean, what? I don't have it. What? Yeah, don't follow me. Please don't follow me. Please don't follow me. No, I'm not a demon. The cat's a demon. I'm scared. Is anyone that I know in this game that might stream snipe me? Hope not. I can make nothing. Okay. Hiccups. Okay. Sharp 1. Maybe, hopefully we can get sharp 2. Diamond. We can slay. Qndres, you're getting stream snipes apart from the fact I'm awful, so you know. Wait, what did you just say? Wait, what? I don't even know what you just said, bro. Wait, I can just do this. I'll get like 15. 18 now. Dude, I'm making some crazy lasagna right now. It's in the oven. Oh my god. You know that Costco just cook, what is it called? Cook, easy to cook, ready to make. Yeah, I got one of those. Oh my. Fire. Wait till he's like 18 and 24. Okay. Yeah, that's literally torture. Yeah, true. Wait till I'm like low. Yeah. Or don't. Can I get like a cow or something? Please? okay. Like apparently cows or sugarcane don't exist. I look at like love rushing strength. It's actually pretty cool because you just pot speed and pot strength and just like go around just 3-tapping people. I'll gift 100 is crazy. Yeah. Bro is Steve Jobs. Bro works at Twitch and has infinite money glitch. Yo, you know how money is like printable, right? Do you ever think like people that print money just like low-key be taking some home? Or like, do you think like they just take the money home since like they can just pay themselves, you know? Like they obviously, you know? Yes, Shaq, yes. Okay. I need coal. I need iron right there, okay? You know... Oh shit, really? Wait, really? I didn't know that. Yo, my Autobot be stressing itself out. But past the pack? You know what? It's officially my pack. I'm making it my own version of my pack. Can someone make the diamond armor gray? Okay. We're Leon Lion. Who's Leon Lion? Who that? Can I get a chance? Oh, Leona. He's a pack guy? Oh, okay, okay. I knew that. Is it iron? It's iron. Okay. Just no diamonds again. This might be a diamondless game. It's fine. I can just go up with sharp 1 iron and kill people. I think. I wonder if I can do that glitch. Oh, what song is this? It's a big cave with no diamonds. Literally 0 diamonds, huh? No, I won't die. I actually never died before PvP. I almost did the other day when I was getting I PvP'd. Okay. We're gonna go. Dude, there's literally 0. Like, how is there no diamonds here? You're not reaching me for PvP? Oh, I get full health back to PvP when I get PvP starts, Jocelyn. So that's really just stay alive until PvP and you just get your full health back pretty much. Wait, are those diamonds? I just got debated by Lapis. It's a piss block, bro. Oh, someone here. Hello. Wait, I need to probably focus up because I have no iron. Um. But yeah, I ain't rich. Yup. Oh fuck. Can we chill? I'll send it to you, Curve, don't worry. If I do 100, that's my last gifted. Ah, nice. It's gonna be very hard. Might just need to do this rush here. How about you don't gift any? Because I wanna, you know. Thoughts on that one? I would decide to gravel. Okay. Can someone like save like these cords here? When I get wood? No, 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 no. Lily in this game? Oh no. I see them. That's scary. Okay. Bam, bam. 2 of those. I want to try something actually. I want to try if I can do this. Put that in there. Does do it. Okay. Make a chest. I'll have the music. Hello? Music? You gonna start playing or what's gonna happen? Yo, oh, these. It's fine. What? Huh? What? Yo, what is happening? Serious. Thanks for the lurk. Appreciate that. Okay. I guess. Pop off, King. What's up, Faye? Hello. He DC? I think he like... No, he definitely... He was not laggy, though. He might have like tapped out and escaped. Low key, I've done it before. What? There's a guy right there, too. Dude. I was probably a glowstone, so I might need to go in again. I really don't glowstone, bro. How do I forget to get glowstone? Bro, what? Am I dumb? Did I forget to put? Oh, I'm an idiot. Is there a way to craft glowstone? No, right? It's literally just. I really forgot to get glowstone. Damn. Yo, is he? What is happening over here? What is bro doing? Surely we're not extraing, right? Oh my god. What? Is that getting stalked? Okay. Okay, that's another head. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the roses. Let me get strength. I get strength, I just win. Golden head. Wait. Wait, I can just make obsidian now. Wait. Ah! Okay. Can someone in chat save these coordinates for me, please? I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna put everything in here. Just so I gotta come back for it. Thanks. Just save those cords. I'll be right back for this strength. I just want to get a glowstone. Probably should get a water bucket too. Yep. Alright, bet. Oh, it fucking scared me. That hat scared me. I gotta hurry up though. I still need one book, but I mean, I'll hopefully find one. Alright. Not again. Okay. Pots? Yeah, I got pots. But I need to do this first. Alright. Glowstone, glowstone. Perfect, right here. Alright, I think that's good enough. Please, let's not on surface. Okay. 403. Mother. Spawns me like a way. Actually, I can make. Okay, that's good. I actually like this. I spawn like somewhat far from my thing. I mean, I can get my what is it? 403? Jesus. Okay, it's this way. Why do fishes all group together? What? Oh, those are so chapped, bro. Holy shit. Did I make Ostrich? I hope I didn't. Alright, we got it. 530 5 chat 539 403. Okay. After this game I need my lasagna, by the way, so just FYI. Don't die, Andres. I won't. I won't. Wow, ran the water. Okay, and then we just need this. Bam. Drink twos. Bam. Bam. I'll do one strength, one speed now. Just so I can hurry up. Hi, Hobo. Did you beat the goal? Nope, still doing it. Still doing it, sadly. I'm sad, Hobo. People keep giving me money. Yo, it's crazy to say. Yeah, people keep giving me money. I don't want it anymore. Also, you saw the hobo I was talking about, right? There's, oh no, it's hobo, and there's you, ex-hobo. See what I mean? How much more days do you think Shim will beat? No idea. Do you know that person too, or no? I think I know both you guys. I know both you guys for sure. What time is it for me? 5:30. Literally, it just turned 5:30. Okay. Oh. I don't need that. I don't need that. Oh, put the speed in it there. Okay. Then I just brew like this batch of speed. Can't really keep everything in my inventory. Okay, bam. We used to play together on Battlite? Really? Damn. Who's ex-hobo? Another player. Okay. Jesus. I have enough. Yeah, I see more speed. Okay. Bam. Eh. What don't I need now? I'm just gonna throw this, I guess. Leave this behind since I'm just gonna. Right. I guess I can leave as well. I just need to get apples right now. Who's better, you or him? 1v1. Let's go. Let's see what happens. See what we can do. Let's see what damage we can do with pots. Ant Frost has gone offline. Oh no, Ant. Honestly, good for Ant for going offline. Okay. Do this. Is that Mystic the one I know, or I'll put it's Mystic the one I know. Yes, did you? I got you, Mystic. Yeah. What if I click denied, Mystic? What did you do? What'd you hit me? Monkus. Hi, Bryn. Hello. Bryn. Sob. No. Yo, who be leaving all those group chats, bruh? You saw that too, or not? Did you see that, Mystic? Who left all those group chats? You gotta work for them. Oh, it was you? No, you didn't. That wasn't you. It was me. Nah. Whoever be leaving group chats that were like made 2 years ago, you're crazy. Ain't nobody gonna go back just to leave group chats. Wait, who was then? Do you know who it was? I tried to I was like, wait, who is that? Who's leaving these group chats? It's like someone like deactivated their account, huh? Oh no, sorry. No, it was Bryce. Bryce did. But there was someone that deactivated Discord. Who was that? Who deactivated the Discord account? Wait, what? Nothing. This is a loss. Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense. Bro, can I see some people? This could be a very Monkus game. I'm not seeing anyone. Lily just killed someone. Fuck, I see this. Hit a head on accident. Lily's dual wielding. Or just had junk in here. Holy shit. Gamba? And the gamblers? Oh, lag. Yep. It's officially, it's by the way, it's every 10 subs now. Swine, can you change that, please? Thank you. Sorry, just full focus right now. Okay. I need to kill Lily. They have like a lot of stuff. Dude, what? Someone was pricked by a dripstone, okay? Cook, I guess. Yeah, now it's every 10 wins. Yeah. Every 10 subs, sorry. Every 10 subs. Every 10 subs, we up the sub amount. But yeah, and then probably like 25, I'll do like 15. Like every 5, I'll up it by like 5 or something. People want to see me suffer, and it's crazy. Bear any bones? Did I leave them behind? Okay. Crown table. No, I'm just gonna keep the tracker pack then. I literally just need to kill Lily. That's it. That's like my only threat this game. Put everything away except for the arrows. Keep one stack. Anvils away. Wait, what? Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, jeez. Probably should grab more of these, but it's fine. What do you got? Wait, what? Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. That fire sword. Oh, that's not good. Oh, W cobweb or W crafting tables. Yo, sharp 5 strength. This goes crazy. Wait, what was it? Midas. Sharp 1. Sharp 3 fire. Oh my. Jesus, dude. Chat, sharp 5 goes crazy with strength, dude. Did you not see that? Wait, what was the gear? I want to check the gear. Oh my, lovely, lovely, lovely. Dude, this is gonna be an end the stream. Thank you for getting another sub. Yo. Okay, so look, so we up it by 1, but then we also gotta up this by 1.
_21 has gifted us
like,
to Kenya.
Okay, here we go. 8 more wins again. Dude, this stream's gonna be not ending. Wait, how many subs are we at right now? How many total subs are we at? Are we at 200?
_21 has gifted a sub to Ali.
Yeah, strength. Yeah, I have strength 2, sharp 5, Lily. Chat, what's gonna happen when I
_21 has gifted a sub to Earth Sundew.
Like, am I gonna stream like endlessly now? No, surely not the whole month.
_21 has gifted us up to Boss Skull Crusher.
Thank you for gifting 10 more subs. I appreciate it. This is the rest of your life. No, there's no way. There's no way.
Saucy
how many more wins do we need? 8 more wins.
Up to 69 Sam 420.
I have 220 subs. Jesus, dude. Holy shit. Dragon Jamie 23 guys with stupid art.
21 has gifted us up.
Wait,
to
how much damage was I doing per crit, by the way, per strength 2 crit and sharp 5? I was doing like 10, was I doing like 5 hearts of crit? 5 hearts? Jesus.
21 has gifted us up to Echo Wang.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's gonna be the same to 25, and then we'll up it by 1.
Saucy
like once I reach
has gifted us up to Cry Jade 25.
Once it says 25 wins, then yeah, then we'll up it by 1. You're so close. Yo, that would have been crazy.
Saucy
oh my god, if you got that, just GG's.
Gifted us up to Original Way 3K3 NDD.
Yeah, if someone had Reaper, I'd just die, because it's just GG's. But I didn't die, so I'm actually happy. I was one crying I'll be off. Jesus. Oh my god. Wait, let me add Bob real quick. Come on, do some. Come on, do some. Wait, chat, let me go check out my lasagna. Sorry for kicking you off your leaderboards. Oh, that's all good. As long as, wait, I'm 6th place now. It's literally everyone just tied for here. Okay, wait, I'm not on the leaderboards anymore. Wait, why am I not on the leaderboard? Shouldn't I be right there? Wait, what? Why is the package still on there? I gotta relog probably. There we go. I'm still on there. I'm still on there. This person here, literally, I want you to do dude, play annoying with them, by the way. Did lobby yet? Oh my god, dude, I'm so hungry. Hey, Matt. Yesterday, I was playing a solo game. I got him down to like 3 HP. Bow, run, bow, run, bow, run, water. Dude, it was annoying. It was so annoying, dude. It was mad annoying. He run. I don't understand. Oh, okay. That's chill. Powerful flame. Yeah, he just does the that one strat, right? Right. I'm trying to get the boys on, but looks like wait, dude's message me. Weren't you like 11? Yep. Now I'm. Which what am I at? 20. 14 out of 22. He even does like what? I still like on kill leaderboards, even though I'm a wins. How many? Wait, am I on kill leaderboard? I don't think I'm on kill leaderboard. People are. I am a kill leaderboard actually. Kill leaderboard. I just got on there actually. Wait, am I on? Oh, oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. I'm on 9th place, so 391. I just got on there, like just now. Wow. All right, okay. I'm asking my friends to join. Okay, this guy didn't join. Axial. Wait, wanna. Let's see. Unless you're busy with school? Question mark? I'm asking on my friends list. Teams? Question mark? Okay. Bro, who else can play at this time? All right, I asked some friends. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get my food. I think it's ready. I'll be right back. BRB. Give me like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'm gonna get my food and I'll be right back.